Thank you very much, Al, and thanks everyone for joining. And I suppose, I don't know why I sometimes end up with the difficult discussions, but I suppose the AI Council and change management and all of those things fall into the same buckets. It's one of those very serious things that I think we definitely need to address. As mentioned by Al, we are sharing the resources because the point of this whole program is to actually help people on their journey, and so that you can follow step by step, or maybe trying to achieve this in your company as well. So there is definitely, you can contact me as well. There's definitely a couple of us, and we designed this program together. So there's this whole 10-step program that goes over 20 weeks. So please follow it, take a look out, look at the homework as well, and the content that's shared, the recordings that's shared, because it really is to help you make sure that bringing Copilot into your company is going to be successful. So that's very, very important for us. Now, first things first is that we, of course, all have a different opinion about what AI is. So if we ask the difficult questions and use the big words, of course, new generation of AI will remove the drudgery of work and unleash creativity. There's an enormous opportunity for AI-powered tools to help alleviate digital debt, build AI aptitude, and empower employees. Now, that's a lot of big words, right? But what that does mean is that it's going to help us automate tasks. It's going to help us enhance decision-making. It's going to help us improve customer and employee experiences. It's going to support our strategic goals. And then very important, it's also going to help us transform our work culture by enabling and the learning and the collaboration and the innovation. So we actually chatted about it this weekend as well. I mean, many people are afraid of AI and it's going to replace our jobs and take our jobs and replace who we are. But the first step is to look at what parts of what we do it can replace, so that things that you repeat so often, and then it gives you the opportunity to get better in something else. So don't just sit back, see how you can advance in other areas, and see how these type of AIs and co-pilots and our robots can help replace the things that we do every day to free up our hands to do different things. Now, the only slide in my slide deck that is a Microsoft slide is this slide. Okay, I'm way too much of a rebel to have all my slides be Microsoft slides. But if you go and you have a look at the Microsoft Adoption Resource Center and you go and specifically look at Copilot, it definitely stipulates that the 3 essentials for Copilot success would be leadership, human change, technical readiness. Now, what is important is to obviously know that the human change and technical readiness actually happens at the same time. So while we're busy getting our users ready, we also have to get the environment ready. It can't really happen as a staged approach because there's simply too much to happen. Okay, so there's a big component of that happens at the same time. But this specific session focuses a little bit more on that leadership pillar that you see there. And if we can look at that, that of course touches on executive sponsorship, aligning the AI business strategy, very important again, providing clarity and prioritization. And then what they say, of course, the best practice would be is to set up an AI council. And that's exactly what it is that we are busy looking at in this session. What is important of the leadership for everyone, and I always think about this, is that I'll get involved in companies, and I'm not even talking about Copilot, any project. I'll get involved with a project and ask if I can have an email from the CEO go out about the project. I normally immediately get shot down, okay, because these type of things normally get communicated by the CIO. So CEO, MD, doesn't matter. We don't always have that voice coming from that top level. Even though those people sat around a boardroom table and signed for all those gazillions, we don't always have the visibility that they're supporting the project. And that's going to be even more important if you start looking at Copilot. So if we get our leadership on board, the first thing it's going to give us is ownership. So you can see the hierarchy there. The second thing it's definitely going to give you is the governance aspect. Because if they're on board, we're going to have a lot more governance and a lot more that we can actually push out in the company. And then, as I mentioned, if they're on board, that's where the money is, because they're already paying for it. But let's make it visible. Let's make it so that our employees can see that it's actually a strategic move and our management is supporting it. And that doesn't always happen. So this specific session focuses on that first pillar, so the leadership, and it looks at the best practices leading from that, which is normally to set up an AI council. I just want to mention to the team, so my Teams is off to the left. I'm not looking at any of the chats, so you're welcome to type away there. I'm Crazy Keyboard Karika or Al or anyone else, but I can definitely, if there's questions, we can answer afterwards as well, but the team is more than capable of answering questions even during session. So the session is all about assembling your AI council and how do you start with this? But before I start with that, I'd like to remind you of something. Can be all fancy slides and everything, but there's a human nature in this that's not going to change and it's not going to go away. And it always makes me think of this meme. Okay, so who wants to save time by using Copilot? And I bet you everyone in the call is going to raise their hands, right? But who wants to help us put the necessary systems in place to use AI responsibly? It's the same old thing that we're repeating. It's going to happen constantly. We always have this problem. It's always the same thing. Okay, so we need to get on board. We need to do the thing. Okay, so disclaimer up front. If anyone gets annoyed by this, I'm very sorry about that. But do you want to save time? Well, then I can tell you, if you want to save time, you need to put your big gold panties on and get it done. And that's what this session is all about. So let's look at the table of contents. So for today, the things that I will be covering, firstly, is what is the objectives and functions of an AI council? So what should they actually, why are we doing this, right? Secondly, the composition and the structure of this AI council, because it's not just a tea party that you're setting up, because it's not a Teams chat group. It's a little bit more complicated than that. What is the roles and responsibilities of this council? Also, are there processes and tools that's used by the council and that we can also share with you? And also challenges that might exist. So what is the challenges that you can expect? Because I'm not going to just tell you about the roses and the daisies. There's some challenges that you're going to have to overcome. Okay. And then last but not least, there's homework. And there's only homework because we want you to actually follow these steps with us. So it's up, of course, it's up to each of you if you want to participate in it. But we will share some homework and I will share that at the end of the presentation as well, so that you know what it is that you can start doing to get your ducks in a row. Cool. Let's start. So objectives and functions of an AI council. Okay. Now, if we look at an AI council, I mean, why is this really necessary? Why are we doing an AI council? Because with AI, there's all these amazing possibilities, okay, but there's serious challenges linked to it, okay? And if you look at whether we're protecting people's privacy, are we clear about how it works? Do we know who's responsible if something goes wrong? And that's why we need an AI council, okay? What's the benefits we're going to get from having an AI council? So if we look at this, the AI council is going to help us keep AI on track. So it's like a project manager, but a little bit more. It's going to help us manage the risks. It's going to help us bring people together, but ice cream also does that, but apparently the AI council will as well. Then it's going to help us to build trust. It's going to help us to drive smarter decisions, and it's also going to encourage learning. So these are the type of benefits that we can expect to see from an AI council, okay? It's pretty much the same as any tech council that we bring up when it comes to adoption and training and change management, but there's a little bit more to this, and I will cover this in the next slides. Now, what are the functions of my AI council? What are the actual things that they've got to start with and start doing? So the first thing is that we have to share our AI vision and policies. Take note that I said AI vision and policies. Because with AI and with Copilot, every company becomes a tech company, right? So your current vision and mission statement might actually change because of AI. So it helps us to set and share our AI vision and policies. They should help us review and approve AI projects, because yes, you're going to now start seeing a stream of AI projects. It should lead with curiosity, empathy, and transparency. So that group of people, that council, should lead by example. They should lead the company. Very important. It's also going to help us track how AI is performing. Okay, so how are the projects doing? How is AI performing? It should support the teams with guidances and best practices. And this is where the difference comes in, because there's a very technical component to this. And then, of course, it also engages with customers, partners, and experts. Now, remember when we say customers, everyone internal in a company that serves each other are customers as well. Don't ever forget that. So if I am in HR and there's finance, we are also internal customers to each other. Okay. So when we say engages with customers, it's not just external customers, but it's also our internal customers from a service delivery. Okay. So partners and experts. Don't forget the experts. You're going to have to bring in some experts on this whole situation. And then learning, innovation in AI. And it's the encouragers that's important. Because if you lead by example, it will inspire people to do what you're doing. Okay, so that definitely is a big thing for us when we look at what this AI council should do. Let's take a look at the composition and structure of this council. So the first thing we looked at is the purpose of it, and why should we do it? What are the benefits of it? But now let's take a look at the composition and the structure. So on a structural level, there's 4 very important areas. The first is my core team. Now, the core team is the team that handles the daily operations. They set the agendas, they review the projects, they share updates, and this could include leaders from legal, tech, HR, and more. The next one is your expert network. Now, this might be slightly different to the way we've done projects before because we need a little bit more, right? So the expert network is a mix of internal and external specialists. You need to reach outside as well so that you can cross-contaminate your internal IT skills. Okay, very, very important. And these could be data scientists or lawyers or things like that, even on the ethical layers. The third one, of course, is the steering committee. Now, the steering committee is normally made up of your senior executives, so CEO, CTO, CIO. Yes, CEO, CTO, not just the CIO. That's got to change. Copilot's not changing this. This should have changed years ago. But the rest of the company has never been involved in IT projects, and they're going to have to get involved. Then the fourth component of this, of course, is my stakeholder group. So the stakeholder group is kind of the people who build it, they use it, that the people that are impacted by the AI, and that includes your staff, your customers, partners, and your regulators. So this is kind of the structure of your AI council, is those 4 very, very important areas. And then if we look at the characteristics of that specific structure, this is quite important. 4 big areas. What should it be identified as? Okay, because if I look at a structure that you put together, they have to live a certain code, right? And it's this specific certain code that we can divide up in 4. The first one is diversity. Okay, you have to look at a diverse council. It's got to be diverse backgrounds, different levels in the company, different experiences, because that brings fresh eyes to the projects that you do. Very, very important, and also gives us a balanced view of AI. Young people, older people, women, men, the whole story. Okay, it's got to be diverse. The second one is independence. So what do I mean by independence? This should allow the AI Council to operate with autonomy and authority. So they shouldn't be too scared to say something because their boss is the CIO. Got it? They have to have authority and they have to have autonomy. So that's very, very important for us. The third one here is transparency. Now, transparency is about being open about our processes, our criteria, our outcomes, even if we do something wrong. Accountability. We have to be accountable for our decisions and our actions. Okay, so we have to ensure the responsible and ethical use of AI. So these are the characteristics that your AI council should have. A couple of things that you have to just remember of. It's not all the old greybeards, okay? We have to have a bit of a mix in there because then we have better perspectives and we can better handle this. And definitely from young to much older, because we do think differently. Okay, so that's definitely my characteristics. I've discussed the structure as well. So very important is those four pillars and how it is constructed. The next item we'll take a look at now is the roles and responsibilities of the AI Council. So we started with, what is the purpose of this council? Okay, so why do we need it? Now, we need it because AI can be scary. We need it because in anything in life, we need a governing body. We need people that we can run things past. We need people that focus on it, specifically focus on it. Because if you don't specifically focus on this, we're going to have a problem. We then, of course, looked at what this should consist of, so the construction of it, and we now discuss the characteristics. So next up, I want to talk about the roles and responsibilities. Okay, so this is getting a little bit heavy. So the roles and responsibilities of your AI council. Now, this is quite interesting to see this because Microsoft has a very similar approach across all of the areas that you can see on the adoption framework. So, of course, the roles and responsibilities of the AI Council is divided in 4 phases, which aligns. So it aligns with that adoption framework, and it also aligns with the Microsoft 365 implementation framework. And that is to prepare, to onboard, to deliver, and to optimize. That's 4 basic steps. It's the easiest way is to put it into these areas, because then you can actually look at what the roles and responsibilities is of this council per structured phase. So let's take a look at this 4 different phases. Under prepare, so in this phase, the AI Council is going to set the foundation by defining and sharing the organization's AI vision, values, and policies. Remember, we asked on the previous slides, what are they going to do? They've got to share. There's got to be transparency. They've got to help draft these new strategies that we have. So in the prepare phase, prepare is before we start rolling out Copilot, right? In the prepare phase, we're all going to look at defining and sharing the org's AI vision, values, and policies. Again, see the AI before vision. Very important. It's not just your standard vision. There needs to be a new vision. The next thing that they'll focus on is to establish clear criteria for reviewing AI projects. It's got to be criteria. If you don't document this, you can't measure it, you can't succeed. So what is the criteria for reviewing AI projects? The reviewing and the approving for proposed AI use cases. Because we're actually thinking ahead of the time, right? So the reviewing and the approving of proposed AI use cases. Now, on the onboard side, this is where they will apply the AI responsibility by doing the following things. They are going to guide users and tech leaders on best practices. So now we've moved on to the onboard stage. Okay, so now they have to start guiding people on what best practices would be. They're going to still be reviewing and approving or improving proposed AI projects. So they reviewed in the previous phase, and now they're starting to look at improving proposed AI projects. What can we do to that project that we're looking at? How can we make it better now that we understand things better? Then, of course, they'll be consulting experts on legal, ethical, and technical issues. Again, I'd like to remind you that this is before deliver. So before we get to the deliver point, that council should already start talking to people about the ethical side of it, the legal side of it, okay? Before deployment, okay? And then this council under the onboard pillar is also going to look at overseeing the development and deployment with clear tools like audits and validations, and then, of course, also to identify and to manage the risks. Okay, so very important. They're going to guide the users and the tech leaders. They're going to review and improve the proposed AI projects. They're going to consult with experts, and this could be external resources as well. They're going to oversee development and deployment, and then they're going to identify and manage risks. Again, a reminder that we are in the second phase. So second phase being on board. Let's take a look at the deliver phase. So this is where we start doing. A lot of it was preparing for it, planning for it, creating awareness in the company, and now we're going to move on to deliver. So under deliver, the AI Council will track how AI is performing and the impact it's having. We have to now look at what it's doing in the company, right? So it's going to now help build trust by sharing real experiences. Again, they have to lead by example. And this is something that typically happens in companies, is you nearly kind of have to script it. It's not often that everyone uses with all the products, but if someone in a management position shares a success story, then people start to follow. So this needs to be on a schedule. You have to put it on a schedule. Have a little interview with a specific person. Get a quote from a specific person. And if it's not on a schedule, then you're not going to get them. And you won't have that type of trust by sharing real experiences. Then, of course, we're going to also engage with the external stakeholders for feedback and presentations, because now we've already started delivering this. Now we can start having real world like feedback on what this AI is doing or what Copilot's doing in our company. Then also, very importantly, we do want to share results with dashboards, reports, or presentations. So now we've gotten feedback from the company. We've gotten feedback through our support channels as well. But now we want to encourage the learning and innovation across the organization after we've shared the results on dashboards, could be Power BI or presentations. So get the feedback from the company, start sharing that results on your different platforms, and then through that, encourage extended learning with the rest of the company. So this is under deliver. They're going to help us build the trust. Okay, they're going to engage with external stakeholders. They're going to share results as we start getting them back from our employees and from the support channels. And then we're going to encourage the learning and innovation because results speaks for themselves. Let's take a look at the optimize phase. This is where the AI Council is going to look ahead. So now optimize is actually planning again. So you start with planning, getting the company ready, you roll it out, and then you're going into planning again. But that's planning for your next phase. So the optimize is nearly looking ahead and saying, what do we have to do different? What do we have to change and adapt and apply differently? So they're going to be looking at exploring new technologies and AI capabilities. Don't make a mistake, people. These things are changing so fast that before you can even update a policy, you'll have to update it again. So think about how you document policies. Think about that process of policies. How long does that take to get a signature on a policy? Maybe we should make policies digital so that we can make immediate updates with easy or quick approvals, because AI and technology is advancing that fast. So we want to look at new technologies and AI capabilities. They're going to be reviewing feedback and performance. So that feedback and performance that they got in the previous phase, they have to review that so that they can see if there's opportunities to improve. So reviewing feedback and performance to spot opportunities. So if someone says to you, man, I love that Copilot, but I wish I could speak to it in Afrikaans, that might be an opportunity to look at something different. But hey, I'm not going there. Then again, very importantly, engaging with stakeholders to refine the strategy, because there's a strategy from the first steps of looking at Copilot. And if you start deploying this, if you start delivering it, you have to tweak and update your strategy. That's very important. It's never going to stay the same. It's going to change every couple of months. You have to update your strategy. And then very important, recommending future AI investments based on insights. So recommending future investments based on AI and insights. Okay, so that's why we say an AI council isn't a group of change managers. It's not only trainers or people who focus on adoption. Remember, we said that it should consist of experts as well, that are experts in AI and Copilot, and people from legal backgrounds and people that can look at the ethical areas in it. So it's not just IT. This is going to change forever. In the next part of this presentation, I want to look at the processes and tools that this AI Council can use. So we've spoken about the structure. What does it consist of? What is their duties? It's all quite heavy, isn't it? It's like, okay, there's this job. This is what they must do. This is all the legal aspects. So let's look at the processes and the tools that this council can use. There's four main areas, okay? And the first one's going to focus on communication. So this is where we facilitate the seamless interactions among council members. The second one is evaluation. So how do we assess the outcomes or the performance metrics? The third one will be fostering teamwork and shared decision making. And then, of course, last but not least is documentation, where it helps us to maintain comprehensive records and help us gather the information for our discussions and for our decisions. So communication, evaluation, collaboration, and documentation. I'm going to give you a bit more insights. It's going to be quite text-heavy slides, but you can always take a screen grab And then again, please be reminded that we do share resources afterwards. So if I look at all those tools that we can use, let's tackle communication first. So under communication, this is where we are going to have meetings and regular or ad hoc discussions. We have forums and we have communities. There's events that happens like town halls and awareness sessions. There's going to be newsletters and websites. And by websites, of course, I'm quite interested to say SharePoint for sure, and maybe your intranet, so periodic updates and resource hubs, presentations and publications or SharePoint newsletters. So under communication is all these things that can happen. Communication can be a small group of people that are talking to each other. It can be someone who broadcasts something. It can even be a form of surveys and things, but these are the type of things that we look at when we talk about communication. If we look at collaboration, of course, collaboration, man, it definitely became a buzzword quite a couple of years ago. But collaboration, of course, is looking at things like surveys and interviews. Interviews is going to be very, very important in this process. We're going to look at focus groups and workshops as well, because there you're going to get a lot of feedback back. So when we have these focus groups or workshops in specific areas, people then have the courage to speak up and say if something's working, or they can share ideas on good things to maybe change in the strategy. And then, of course, communities. So ongoing engagement with interested groups. This, of course, is impacted with how big your company is. Okay, if you have a massive company, it's easy to have communities like that. But if you're a company of 20, it's quite difficult to have a couple of communities in there. Okay, so it might be the same audience continuously. The third one that I'm looking at is the evaluation part of this. So that's all the tools to assess the AI initiatives for quality, risk, and for impact. These could be audits and tests, validations. Always reminds me of ISO and compliance and Kaizen, and then certifications and assessments, metrics indicators, mitigation and contingency plans. Now, all of these can have different tools that it uses again as well. All of these can have different ways and different apps that we apply for it. And I'll show you a bit about that in a moment. Under the documentation, so this is where the resources is to ensure our transparency and our accountability. Now, documentation could consist of things like data sheets and model cards, facts and explanation sheets, content forms, dashboards and reports, and knowledge bases. So that's the document side of it. And all of these, all of you have worked with. It's maybe not that easy to say very quickly, list me 10 of each of these areas under communication, collaboration, evaluation, and documentation. But these are always a good reminder to have. So think of them as a cheat sheet. This is quite easy to go back to it and say, hey, wait a minute, I can use a survey for that. Because as humans, we do tend to forget. Now, for all of these wonderful tools, all of these wonderful things that we should be achieving, I really, really wish we had the tools to be able to do these things. But wait, you do. So with all of the apps that's available in Office 365, all of the apps on M365, you can use to be able to do any of those functions and to use any of the features in Office 365, of course. So that's very important to know that you do have all the tools that you need to do this job. I want to talk about the challenges next, because yes, there is challenges. And of course, this makes it a bit difficult to put into place, but it's better the devil that you know, right? So if we look at the challenges, I think the first one I want to talk about, and I actually, I thought about, is it Ralph that broke the internet? But there's this scene
Wreck-It Ralph, yes.
Yeah. Wreck-It Ralph. There's this scene where he falls into this big dome and it's just chaos. Okay, it's chaos. There's stuff everywhere and blingy lights and stuff that moves. And that's kind of how I feel about life these days. That's how hectic life is these days. But of course, I'm just looking at the Jetsons there. So if I think of one of your first challenges, this is the first thing I thought of if I thought of challenges. Not just for AI Council, for companies in general. Like, it's about being future blind. How do you stop something happen if you don't know what that something is yet? If you can't fully see into the future, because there's so many things happening at the moment that we can't fully understand exactly what it is. I mean, where's the days that someone walked around with a, well, back in the day there were stiffies, but then it became CDs or CD-ROMs with I don't know, Office 2010 on it, and they walk around, they install it on all the machines. So here's Office 2010. I've just done a quick little course on it. I'm now certified in Office 2010, and I know exactly the impact Office 2010 is going to have on my company. That's where we came from. Well, you'll never, ever have that again. You'll never fully know exactly what everything is again. You have to kind of plan for it. So being future blind is one of the biggest challenges that I see with being part of our council or with having to try and plan and be on that governing board. The next one, of course, is complexity, because AI spans technical, legal, ethical, and social domains. So you need a very broad, balanced expertise across many different things. The next one, of course, is rapid change. I just spoke about that. It evolves so quickly, demanding continuous learning and expert collaboration. So remember, it's not about what you know. As long as you know everyone that knows everything, you don't have to know everything. So surround yourself by the right people in this process. Then, of course, authority. So authority, the council needs to have a clear mandate and senior leadership. That's going to be the most difficult thing. So authority, the council needs a clear mandate and senior leadership support to guide the AI strategy. Yep, we want your CEO or your MD or your HOD on board. They have to come on board. If they don't come on board, then Copilot's not going to be successful in your company. And that's my statement, and I'll stick to it. Okay, timely impact. So timely impact is about avoiding analysis paralysis and delivering on actionable items. Okay, so don't get caught in that network of crazy documentation and all that blah, 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 blah that I shared with you on the previous slides. Don't get caught up in that you don't actually perform and act on things and do things and have results. Be very, very careful of getting stuck in the protocols. Okay, so, and then of course also inclusive collaboration. So making sure that whatever we achieve, that this success actually depends on the input from all levels of the org, not just the executives. So yes, I need the executives, but I actually need everyone to make a huge success of this. So that's something that's incredibly important for me. Now, after sharing all that dooming things, in Afrikaans we call it a doemprofeet. I can never remember what that is in English. But I don't want to be this like very, very... Does anyone know what doemprofeet is in English, by the way?
I think it's just a doom prophet.
It's prophet of doom.
Prophet of doom.
Prophet of doom. Thank you, Kate. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, people, but sometimes we have to face the things that is scary, okay? Because it's much easier to face something that's scary, write it down, make it a goal, because then it can't be a scary thing under your bed anymore. So what I do want to say to you is that with all of us caring so much about this, I mean, look at us doing this program. With all of us caring so much about this, I can promise you, promise you that we can do this. I promise you that we can do this. However, you have to do the thing. Okay, so yes, we can do it, but you have to do the thing. So John, very close to me that I love very much, Donna Sarker, always talks about doing the thing. Okay, so if we all just get stuck in and we do the thing, we're going to be fine. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to get to your homework. Thank you. Then if we look at this, I am going to share it in the document as well. I know that it's a lot of text, but if you wanted to take a screen grab, you can. But it is in the document that I'm going to share with you as well. So I just want to talk through it quickly. These, yes. Oh, you're not muted, Al. So if I look at your homework, I want you to go and look at mapping your stakeholders. So this task can be to identify at least 5 individuals across your organization to serve as executive sponsors, champions, cross-functional contributors, okay? And what is the deliverable? It's a list of names and roles. Cool? The second thing is to draft your council charter. This is a bit bigger, but it needs to happen anyway. So the task is to use the sample charter that I'm going to provide you, yes, and then to draft one for the organization. So I've already done a sample charter, and we are going to give it to you with the homework. Okay, the deliverable is submit a working draft that includes purpose. It says submit, but you don't have to submit your homework to me. This is for you. Then our third one is interviewing a potential champion. So have a 15-minute conversation with someone who could be a co-pilot champion. Ask them, what excites you about AI at work? What challenges do you foresee? Would you be willing helping others to adopt Copilot? You're going to need those champions, people. So start way ahead of the time. So your deliverable would be 3 key takeaways from this conversation. Number 4, spot a use case. Now, very, very cool. On the Microsoft 365 Adoption Hub for Copilot, there's a lot of very, very cool use cases that you can go and take a look at. There's incredible resources there, okay? So make sure that you do check that out. So identify real-world tasks in a team that can be improved with Copilot. Okay, so what is my deliverable? Write a short paragraph describing the task and how Copilot can help you. Then last but not least, join the conversation. So post a reflection or question in your internal Copilot community or Teams channel. What is the deliverable? Screenshot or a link to your post. So reflection or question is like an output that you have or a post that you have. So these are the type of things you can help. So this for me is your homework, but I'm going to just bring this up on the screen. This is the PDF that we're going to load for you in GitHub. So what I did do in the first part of this PDF, I spoke about activating your AI council. So these things that I've just asked you to do, number 1 to number 5, which is join the conversation. And then I went and created a Copilot, the charter for you. So the AI Council Task Force Charter. So I did all of that, gave you good examples. So you have a purpose, there's scope, there's objectives, membership structure, roles and responsibilities, meetings, success, governance model. Okay, so that'll all be available in the GitHub repository for you. And that brings me to the end of my very scary session. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. And I do hope that it's given you lots of insights to be able to make the best of this and to prepare better for this. So